Hey, what's up guys, darkbreaker here in today's video with the patch notes for wildrift patch 5.1d. So that's gonna come out tonight, and as you guys have seen, maybe 5.2 is coming out soon with massive changes, Lysandra, new heralds, etc. So kinda stoked for that as well. But let's get started with the small balance changes for wildrift patch 5.1d. We are on the last phase of 5.1. While Maokai is still our MVP off the bench, come more rotating game modes for you to try out, as well as your regularly scheduled champion changes, item changes, and the long fabled summoner spells changes. Welcome to patch 5.1d. Reminder, content will be released throughout the patch. New features. Aram, Urf, X Gold Rush. It's raining gold for a limited time. Head over to Urf for increased gold and experience. Don't spend it all at once. Oh, this is a nice wallpaper for Yasuo actually. Urf X Gold Rush will be available on July 1st. One for all, X On's Blessings. Shopping in the fountain is so last patch, so how about we all channel our inner on and start shopping everywhere? After all, who's gonna stop us? And it's coming out on July 8th. Then USB X Schrodinger's health bar. If you can't see your opponent's health bar, does it even exist? Let's find out together. Coming out July 15th. Then for events, preseason trivia quiz. We are gearing up for the next big patch, and what better way to get hyped than goodies? All you gotta do to win is ace some trivia questions. Pretty sweet deal, right? And it's coming out July 11th. Champion changes. Bran. In contrast to other mages, Bran can deal a massive amount of damage in a very short time, making it hard for his opponent to deal with it. These changes will give his enemies an opportunity to catch their breath. Pillar of Flame, the second ability. The damage is getting lowered, starting at the second rank. Ability ratio is staying the same. Now conflagration is probably the third ability. Ability power is getting nerfed, the ability power ratio. So I would say overall it's a slight nerf to Bran's late game damage. And I think Bran also has one of the highest win rates on the Chinese server, just because he's very easy to play and his late game damage is super high with Leandri against tanks, etc. So I can see why they're nerfing him, even though I guess mainly it's because he's very easy to play and his damage output is insane. But I mean, I think in solo queue, he's still not that easy to play when you don't have frontline. Now for Fiora. Our Grand Duelist has been less than grand in lane and teamfights. We're boosting her damage to make sure she's up to fighting her way back into the spotlight. Duelist Dance. Damage dealt by hitting vitals is getting increased by 0.5%, and then also the scaling is getting increased from 5.5% per 100 bonus physical attack to 6%. So buff to the base damage and to the scaling, making Fiora she's gonna do way more damage in the late game against tanks. Then for Lunge, the base stats stay the same, but they're increasing the bonus attack damage ratio in the late game. For Blade Work, they're reducing the mana consumption by 10 at every rank. Well, seems like they want to make Fiora way better in the late game, so she's gonna be much stronger when it comes down to shredding tanks in the 1 vs 1. Like as a split pusher, for example. Now for Grace. Grace has been underwhelming both in clear speed and damage to opponents. These changes will make sure he's able to keep up. For the first ability, they are reducing the cooldown in the early game by 1.5, then 1, and then later on in the late game it stays the same. For the initial damage, they're increasing the base damage of the initial damage by 15 across every rank. And then also the damage ratio to monsters is getting increased by 15. So massive buff on the first ability, making Graves Jungle even better. Now for a quick draw. The bonus armor is getting increased by a lot actually in the late game. It's 8 more, but you can only stack 6 times. So you can easier max out the bonus armor. I mean, before you needed to get 8 stacks, but now only at 6 stacks you already have the huge amount of armor that you want. So pretty nice. 144. Yeah, late game it's also more. So even in late game you will get more armor because 6 times 26 is more than 8 times 18. So overall not bad at all. You get armor faster because you can, like, each stack is gonna give you more, and even at max stack you have more armor than previously. That's not bad. Now for Jace. Jace has been dominating, especially in the early mid game. These changes will make sure he's more in line with his opponents. For Shock Blast, okay, it's getting lowered by 5 in the early game and 25 later on. So that's the first ability in hammer form. I don't think it's like the main thing that, I mean, yeah, it's gonna hurt him a little bit in the late game, but Shock Blast is like not the main damage tool. At least like during team fights, etc. Like you're using your Mercury Cannon form way more than the hammer form. But I mean, it's still a slight nerf. I don't think it's gonna impact Jace too much. Kai'Sa is a multi-talent when it comes to doing it all. Capable of dealing lots of damage while retaining high mobility. We want players to make conscious decisions when playing her, especially when it comes to positioning. For Supercharge, it's the third ability. The movement speed is getting decreased and the attack speed is getting decreased. The additional attack speed is also getting decreased. This is a pretty big nerf on the third ability. Lowering the movement speed of Kai'Sa and also reducing the attack speed that she's getting from Supercharge. So I would say seems like a pretty big nerf in my opinion. That's pretty big nerf. Now for Katarina. Unlike her fellow assassins, Katarina's daggers have been falling to reach their target. We're tweaking some numbers around so she can strike true on her enemies. So for Veracity, this is the same. The scaling is getting increased. The base scaling is getting increased per level. And the ratio stays the same though. I mean, this is actually not bad though. I mean, so 30% damage buff. Shumpo. Let's see. Okay, the damage in the late game, no, starting level 2 already, starting rank 2 is getting increased. The ratio, ability power ratio is getting increased as well. So the base damage got increased in the later stages and her late game damage also got increased. So overall, decent Katarina buff. Now for Maokai. Maokai received a massive nerf. Our newest addition to the Rift might have had too much milk for lunch. I don't know how to pronounce it. His health regen is through the roof. We're just making sure he doesn't outgrow his roots. Base armor is getting decreased. Base attack damage is getting decreased by 4. Sap magic, the healing of the passive is getting nerfed. That's very important. 4 to 12 is not that much though. A slight nerf on the healing, but honestly not that massive. I expected more. Bramble Smash, base damage nerf. AP ratio stays. It's only 10 though. Twisted Advance. Root duration is getting decreased in the later stages. Now starting here already. By 0.15 in the late game. Cooldown is getting increased by 1. Honestly, these changes here don't really matter. This is nice, and I guess this is kind of nice, but honestly, the changes are not massive. Like, I guess you will notice the base changes way more than any other ability they adjusted, because it's so little. And this is only like, look, 1% in the early game, less. 1.5 less in the late game. If you have like 4000 HP on Maokai, 1% less, I mean, you will know, I mean, it's not gonna be that much, to be fair. I think Maokai is still gonna be stay very, very strong, because these changes, like, I expected the healing and the base damage of the first ability getting lowered way more. I guess the only thing that I think is really, really good are the base stats changes. Base armor and base attack damage. Nasus is the ultimate late game scale champion, but it can be unsatisfying when the game ends before you even reach your final form. We're giving a boost to the damage you gain from Siphoning Strike to help you get there faster. Base mana regen is getting increased by 2. Damage increase when killing target is getting increased by from 4 to 5. That's not bad though. So at 100 stacks, you already have 500. I mean, it's not bad at all. It is not bad at all. You can, I mean, you can get stacks way easier now. Damage increase when taking down champions. Large minions and large monsters also get increased. Oh, that's lovely. It allows, like, this allows him to farm easier because he gets more mana regeneration, and he's not running out of mana using the the third ability to clear the wave. And Siphoning Strike easier to stack up. Not bad. Thresh got a nerf, base attack damage lowered by 4. This can make his early game weaker for trading. And Damnation slightly lowered the rate of minions dropping souls. Also good, because he will get less stacks souls now. Now for Trin received a massive nerf. Attack speed gained by attacking champions lowered from 55% to 35%. Bloodlust bonus attack damage is lowered from 10 to 7, and in the late game from 25 to 22. And then for the Undying Rage, bonus attack speed from Battle Fury is getting lowered from 60 to 45 and from 70 to 65. Pretty big nerf on Trin, because Trin has one of the highest win rates in solo queue right now on the Chinese server. Now for Twist of Fate, pick a card, any card. Red card, tons of damage. Blue card, tons of damage. Yellow card, you guessed it, tons of damage. Maybe Twist of Fate has been doing a bit too much damage lately. These changes will make sure he's not running amok on the rift. Pick a card, damage of the red card, base damage stays the same, but ability ratio is getting nerfed. For the blue card, they did the same, from 80% to... It's just 5% ability power though. Yes, it's gonna hurt his late game, but his early mid game stays almost the same. Stack deck, passive. Less damage by 10. Ability power stays the same. Attack speed is getting nerfed by 10 in the early game. At 10 every rank. This is not bad, because a lot of people on Twist of Fate are running Nashor's Tooth, and his damage output with Nashor's Tooth, Lichbane, Death Cap is really good. So I can see the nerf. I think the pick a card things. Pick a card was it first ability? No, second ability. Pick a card is second ability. This is not that much, but stack deck, I think you will notice this attack speed nerf. Now for Varus. Varus got another buff. Damage. Let's see. 10% more attack damage ratio. And at max range, or max holding, lol, it's 15 more. Base damage stays the same though, but attack damage ratio pretty big buff. So late game, Varus will actually hurt a lot more. 15% more damage, or 15% more attack damage ratio scaling. So the more attack damage you have in the late game, the more your piercing arrow is gonna hurt. This is actually a massive buff on Varus, because the numbers are insane. 15% more scaling. Now for Warwick. Warwick got a buff. Base armor increased by 5, and armor growth per level is getting increased by 0.5. This is actually a massive base stats buff. So you could run maybe Warwick Bruiser or Warwick Tank, and he will be so tanky just because of these changes right here. Jaws of the Beast. Damage. Let's see what they did exactly. Attack damage ratio scaling got increased. That's it. By 10%. Health regen is getting increased by 5 at every rank. Not bad though. I might play Warwick for content. After these changes, I might try Warwick for content. If you guys want to see a Warwick video, please write it down below in the comments. Now for the gameplay changes. Terminus gold cost get increased by 200 gold, making it more expensive because it was very strong. Heal, Summoner's Bell. The cooldown is getting decreased by 20 seconds, and the health regen is getting increased by 10 in the early game and 20 in the late game. For Barrier, the cooldown is getting lowered by 20 seconds, and the shield is getting increased in the early game. Now for the skins, we have Kale, Zed, oh this one looks dope, Talon, oh Shyvana, Immortal Johnny Shyvana, and Nami. Oh, what do you guys think about the new design, by the way, of the website? Because it's all in dark blue, navy blue. I guess navy blue is the right term of the color, I would say. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this patch rundown. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and please write down below in the comments what you guys think about the patch, and are you guys hyped about the 5.2 changes? And that's it. I see you guys. Bye bye.